Hello. We're back again very quickly after having just finished taking a quick break. I I think I don't know. I know that I've said before that I've watched someone or like went through this story before, but I quite genuinely do not know what's going on in the story now. I'm trying to figure out a way to get my controller to be able to hit like the continue button specifically because I don't want to have to. Is it? No. Keep clicking because it shows up in the audio. That's fine. I'll just resort to spacebar instead of clicking. We're gonna inspect memories. We left off on searching the mansion for the maid. I think I'm going to use the master bedroom. I'm gonna use the key that we found. Maybe we'll find something there that's supposed to show us where we're supposed to go. You inserted the key you had been given into the door's whole keyhole, and with a twist the door opened. The master bedroom was shrouded in darkness, much like every other room in the mansion. It had evidently been left unused for some time. The air in the room was stale and forlorn. Master? A voice seemed to ring out from somewhere. Come on, get up. Up with you. Master. Is this the bite of 87? See, what did I tell you? It's so much nicer in here with a little light. Without warning, her whole world took on a bright, vivid colors. Light streamed in through the window, illuminating a well-lived bedroom. A woman's silhouette stood before you. Oh, wait a second. Don't hide under your bedspread. Get out of there. But Master, you agreed that I could open the windows. Don't worry, I've put up curtains. If it gets too bright, you can draw them. Mornings take the best part of being outside and squeeze them all into the few hours. You don't have to go outside in the sunlight for it either. Just listen to all the wonderful sounds. The joyful sound of birds, the swaying of trees, the rustling of leaves. You tried to call out to the silhouette, but it did not respond. Reaching out for her, your hand simply passed through her body. It did not seem like to be you that she was speaking to. Perhaps you were looking at a scene from some other period. Am I being pushy as I feel right now? I completely misjudged you. You're the exact opposite of what I thought you were. Let's see. I thought you were cold and cruel, heartless and incomprehensible. But I'm beginning to get a better idea. You try to put on airs, but you're really rather childish. You have a short temper, but can be surprisingly playful. What else? You have a pretty difficult personality too. Now, hear me out. That's not everything. You gave me a chance to talk, and you listened intently. You can be kind of nice too. We agreed that we would live together, not just in the same house. So we've got plenty of time to add more to that list. And I hope you can make your own list about me too. This is just the beginning after all. We've got a long, long time ahead of us. Plenty enough to get to know each other, no? Let's not waste any time then. What do you say we do something today that we haven't been able to do before? Where should we begin? I know. We can get this place cleaned up. Now that there's some actual light in here, we can see all sorts of things we'd probably rather not. Like dust all over this place. I could have sworn this was going to be the door. Now we're I'm lost. I have no idea. When the woman's shadow faded away, the master bedroom transformed back into its old, dreary state. Master? Can you say my name? You were unsure how to describe the urge welling up within your breast. You could not say her name. You stood unmoving in the master bedroom for some time, but it did not appear anything else was going to happen, so you decided to head somewhere else. Damn it, I have no idea where to go. Let's go to the fireplace, because that's where we started, right? You made your way to the room with the fireplace. What remained of the fire crackled weakly, leaving the room in a veil of darkness. You remembered that you had awoken here. Out of sheer curiosity, you sat down in the rocking chair you had been asleep in. Creak, creak, creak. It was a soothing. It was as soothing it was as soothing as a cradle to a baby, and in short order you found your consciousness drifting from your grasp. I might have to go through all these because I don't remember. Reading a story by the fireplace like this almost makes it feel like we're in another world, doesn't it, Master? I bet that's why troubadours perform at pubs, so they can be near the fire. You're such a cynic, but that's okay. Say, do you remember when I first arrived here? When I was cleaning the library? So maybe the library's the next place? Your eyes slowly slide open. Fragments of a pleasant dream lingered in the back of your mind. The crackling of a fire, the taste of warm wine. However, there was nothing pleasant about the fireplace sitting before you. No warm, crackling flames. In fact, the brisk air of the room overpowered the remnants of the embers left there. A chill ran down your spine. Afraid you might freeze stiff if you stayed there much longer, you resumed your exploration of the mansion. Okay, let's go to this library. I don't want to call the maid just yet. Or just yet. Let's see what's going on here. The smell of the dusty books filled the air of the library. You approached a shelf to examine one of the books. Oh, whoa. And suddenly an avalanche of them came falling to the floor. You stared blankly at a mountain of books. They had fallen down on their own, but they showed no signs of putting themselves away. Since no one else was there to do it, you began placing the books back on the shelf. 1, 2, 3, a dozen, and as soon as you'd gotten them all back up, they came crashing back down again. You wished very much to implore the maid's assistance, but she did not appear to be in this area. Pretending you had not seen anything, you made your way back into the hallway. What's this? What's this stained glass window thing? Oh, okay, I remember this one. The churchy religious one. You approached the stained glass window. An array of pews was arranged facing the stained glass. There seemed to be an air of tranquility about the room. You sat down in one of the pews and stared quietly for some time. For a moment, you felt like you were on the verge of recalling something, but ultimately, the memory never managed to surface. The maid did not appear to be there. Where could she have gone? You decided to resume exploring the mansion. Okay, now I'm gonna call out because I haven't the slightest idea where she is. Maybe, actually, entrance. I didn't try there. You made your way to the mansion's entrance. There was no one around, nor any source of light. Groping through the darkness, you found the front door, which was sealed shut with a heavy bar. You pressed against the bar, but it remained firmly in place. The door did not budge either. It seemed you could not leave the mansion. Burn the witch. Crucify the impure. When you made to step away from the entrance, you heard a muffled voice. You looked around but were unable to determine the source of the voice. Nor could you be sure whom you had heard either. If giving up on finding anything else at the entrance, you decided to head somewhere else. Call for the maid. Let's see if that works. You tried calling for the maid. It was quiet. A sense of loneliness fell over you. Wow, am I really gonna have to go through everything? That's kinda crazy. The scent of cigarette smoke still lingered in the den. However, the room was silent, not even an echo of the men's chattering remained. Something was moving. Billiard balls. There was no one present to strike the balls. They rolled spontaneously around the table. The paths they traced across the surface were rough and erratic, contrasting that of when the former master held the cue. The spheres collided awkwardly with one another, not a single one coming close to the pockets. As in experiments, you pulled the ball off the table. In response, the path of the balls became even clumsier. Having lost one of their targets, they began bouncing aimlessly around off the cushioned walls of the table. As you stared intently at the table, a man's voice rang out from somewhere in the room. Whoa. Spinning round, you saw a silhouette of a man. However, you could not make out what the man was saying. The man thrust his finger at the table. He appeared to want you to return the ball. You reluctantly placed the billiard ball back on the table. When you did, the balls resumed endlessly, colliding with one another, never landing in any of the pockets. You looked up to find the shadow gone. Having determined that the maid was not going to appear in the den, you exited the room, making your way back to the corridor. Crazy. I don't know why, but for a second I thought I was gonna get haunted right there and or die. Huh. Look at your head covered in the roses. Oh, XXX, you got petals on the book. This isn't mine. I can't afford to. Though you could hear the sound of children laughing, you could not see them. Regardless, their cheerful voices warmed your heart. You decided to linger there in the garden for some time, along with the children's laughter. Along with the children's laugh wafted a sweet fragrance. The wind blew, whisking flower petals up into the air. It was an enchanting sight. But after a while, the roses began to wilt. You could no longer hear the children's laughter either. A young man stood alone in the withered rose garden. As you drew nearer, you called out to the youth, but the young man did not appear to notice you. He merely stood there, staring vacantly across the garden. The youth muttered something in a lifeless voice. This isn't what I wanted. I just wanted a normal, peaceful life. I can't bear being alone. I can't take this. Someone get me out of here. Oh God, tell me that I'm not the bad one here. You tried calling out to the young man several times, but he did not seem to hear you. He simply continued muttering to himself. Before long, the youth's shadow faded into nothing. Unable to hear the chilly air any longer, you stepped back into the mansion. Let's call for the maid again. Let's see if I gotta do like thrice or something like that. You tried calling for the maid. It was quiet. A sense of loneliness fell over you. I say, I gotta go through everything. Let's go to the cellar then. What does the cellar have for us? When you descended into the cellar, you heard a beast-like snarling. Along with it came a sour odor and the sound of ripping flesh. You could not see the beast, but that didn't make any less any unpleasant. You made a retreat from the cellar. Oh, Jesus! Before you could, a shadowy creature lunged at you. You reflexively squeezed your eyes shut. After several moments, you open your eyes again and find a silhouette of a man standing in the place of a beast. You and the shadow stared at one another for some time. You asked the shadow a question, and the shadow responded. However, you had no idea what it said. The shadow seemed to be trying to communicate to you, but trying to make sense of something you could not understand. Trying to make sense of something you could not understand was pointless. Having no reason to remain in the cellar any longer, you made your way back upstairs. That bucking jump scare got me. Okay, so I guess let's go back to the window. Maybe now we're gonna find something? You returned to the room with a stained glass window. You had searched throughout the mansion but had no luck in finding the maid. You felt somewhat tired, though. You were not quite sure whether it was physical exhaustion or otherwise. You had little interest in doing any more moving about. Taking a seat in one of the pews, you gazed up to the stained glass. Staring solemnly back at you was the archangel set to weigh the souls of the deceased. Perhaps he was trying to weigh your soul. Now let's call for the maid. Master? Master? Oh, there you are, Master. You gave me quite the scare. After returning from the third door, you disappeared without a word. Oh my, it was I who disappeared? That's quite strange. I did not go anywhere as far as I'm aware. Nevertheless, I'm glad I found you. I would have been at a complete loss for what to do if I had been separated from you yet again. I did indeed say that when you first arrived. I've been waiting for your return for a very long time. For centuries, as a matter of fact. That would make me a ghost then, you say? I am very much not a ghost. Would I be able to hurt your hand if I were? Saying this, the maid took your hand. It was cold enough to send a shudder down your spine, and completely devoid of life. Though as chilling as it may have been, you still took comfort in the feeling of her hand in yours. The maid looked down at you with gentle eyes. After a few moments of silence, she sat down beside you. The stained glass is quite beautiful, is it not? Every time I see it, it brings a tranquility to my heart. A dreadful, deep-rooted curse afflicts this mansion. However, this room is the one exception. Can you feel the purity that hangs in the air, master? Yes? What is it, master? You are correct. The stained glass window had been shattered and was not present in the time period of the previous tale. I wonder, perhaps is it because the mansion we are in presently resides in a realm separate from the real world? We are in a world constructed from a myriad of memories and histories. I'm sure that when you regain your old self, master, the mansion too shall be restored to its original state. So do try and remember, all right? Hmm. Oh yes. Where did you go on my absence, master? Absence, master. I see. So you explored the mansion then, and did you find anything noteworthy? Memories. I'm not quite sure what you mean. How peculiar. As a servant of this house, I pride myself in being aware of most everything present within these walls. I wondered whose memories they could be. The key to the master bedroom? Why did I throw that key away? I beg your pardon. You say a painting told you? You could see perplexity on the maid's face. You had never seen her make such an expression before. I know nothing of any key. Oh, master, you should not tell jokes meant to cause others discomfort. But a talking painting, you say? You seem to have a rather vivid imagination. Maybe you can tell the next tale, master. I'm only teasing. Now that was a nice break, but we should get moving. The tale I'm about to show you is the last of the mansion's memories. I'm certain you will remember yourself after seeing it. To our feet. The final door is not far, and please do not let go of my hand. Holding your hand, the maid led you to the far end of the room. Oof, last door. Crossing beneath a stained glass window, a metal door came into view. Our destination lies at the top of these stairs. There we will find the last door. She pushed open the metal door, revealing a long, long spiral staircase. Oof. I always like this song. It's very, very calming and nice. I like it a lot. This is like my go-to, like when I'm writing something, I'll put this on. It will be a bit of a walk, so let us be on our way. And please do watch your step. This is called an observation tower. Normally, towers such as this were built in castles or churches, so it's rather strange for there to be one in a mansion. The last door I wish to show you, master, resides at the top of this tower. Rectangular windows were carved out of the stone in several locations along the way up the spiral staircase. You attempted to peer out of one of the windows, but all you could see was a thick layer of fog. Perhaps the maid's suggestion that the mansion did not presently reside in reality was, in fact, correct. With each step upward, you found yourself gripped by an indescribable sense of anxiety. The feeling somewhat resembled irritation or annoyance. Sensing this, the maid tightly gripped your hand. There's nothing to worry about. You will be fine. It's all in the past. No matter what may happen, as long as you do not let go of my hand, you have nothing to fear. You and the maid continued climbing the stairs, up and up, around and around, marching ever nearer to the supposed final door. High up into the tower, as the lights from below drew distant, a rotten wood door came into view. Patches of what appeared to be blood stained the surface, and holes had been bored into it with a sharp object of some sort. You heard a scream from far below, where no one should have been. Kill the witch, kill the witch, kill the witch. Burn her, burn her, burn her. You were struck with fear. The next moment the maid opened the door, and then you slowly descended into darkness. Ooh, I'm so excited. Fourth door, let's go. Whoa, What? I can't even say that. Like 1099? Now that's actually the turn of the century. Set on a pot. Set on a pot. Set it on. And also pour water into it. Gather the pieces thereof into it. Even every good piece, the thigh and the shoulder. Fill it with a choice bone. Take the choice of the flock and burn also the bone under it. And make it boil well. And let them see the bone of it therein. Thus said the Lord. Woe to the bloody city, to the pot whose scum is therein, and whose scum is not gone out of it. Bring it out of piece by piece. Let it not fall upon it. We're getting religious up in here. Where is she? Where'd she go? She came down this way, I'm sure of it. Find her, and burn her. Burn the witch. Burn that witch. Burn the witch and burn the witch. Burn her, burn her. Then will I leave thee upon the land. I will cast thee forth upon the open field, and will cause all the fowls of the heaven to remain upon thee. And I will fill the beast of the whole earth with thee, and I will lay thy flesh upon the mountains, and fill the valleys with thy height. I will also water with thy blood the land wherein thou swimmest, even to the mountains, and the rivers shall be full of thee. And when I shall put thee out, I will cover the heaven, and make the stars thereof dark. I will cover the sun with a cloud, and the moon shall not give her light. All the bright lights of heaven I will make dark over thee, and set darkness upon thy land. I seem to have lost him. Now, where am I? Where should I go from here? What am I to do? White-haired girl talking, FYI. Darkness spreads as far as the eye can see. Not a ray of light shines down upon me. All that strokes my cheek are tendrils of darkness. Every passing day, every fading hour, my world is engulfed in ebony. There exists no kindness in this shadow, only solitude. I've lost track of how long I've been on the run, wandering aimlessly, lost until I arrived at this dark forest. I no longer have anywhere to go. O Father who art in heaven, I kneel to thee within my heart and ask of thee thy blessing. O Father who art in heaven, I ask thee to shine thy light upon me and show me the way. Please have mercy upon my soul. O Father who art in heaven, I do love thee dearly, hallowed be thy name. Please show me the way. I may be shunned and persecuted, and I may have no place to go, but nevertheless I'm unable to give up on my life, to cast aside my hope. This is hella religious, I feel. O Father who art in heaven, please guide me unto salvation. O Father who art in heaven, please guide me. I can no longer remember when my life became naught but running, when it became endless wandering in the dark. And now, when I've reached the point where I've long since forgotten my hunger and thirst, my voice has become hoarse, my vision gone and blurry, my consciousness began sinking into hazy morass. That mansion appeared before me, wrapped in a morning fog that seemed to foretell rain. Nice silhouette. Do I have to hit space? Oh no, okay, cool, never mind. For a second there, I thought I need to do something. Oh my. The mansion comes into view like the world fading in after a dream. It doesn't appear as though anyone lives here. All the windows are either boarded up or shuttered, as if it's long since been abandoned. A tower, which seems out of place in a personal residence, stands tall beside the mansion. The whole building seems as though it could disappear with the fog. It has an unwelcoming presence, freezing me in my tracks. However, if this is where you have led me, then I shall follow your guidance. Having nowhere else to go, the mansion is my only salvation, the light that guides my way, and so I must have faith that no matter what I find, whether spirits or wild beasts dwell within these walls, that this is where I will find peace. Is anyone there? I guess it is abandoned. That makes sense. It would be more unusual for someone to be living in this house so deep in the woods, so far from civilization, like it's been forgotten in time. I can't imagine anyone spending their days here. I place my hand on the front door. What if I can't get in? I very much doubt I'll find anywhere else to stay wandering around through these woods. If the door doesn't open, then I'll die out here in the forest. I've come to accept much, but I'm not ready for it forfeit my life. Please open. The door is heavy, and though it seems to protest my attempt to enter, it still opens much easier than I was expecting. I was worried over nothing. Looking in, I get the strangest impression light is being swallowed up into the mansion's depths. Rather than going inside, it feels as though I'm about to step into the boundaries of the out of this world. When I close the door, it's so dark I can't even tell where I'm walking. I wonder if the window's open. Though I manage to fumble my way over to a window, it's tightly shuttered, and the shutters are caked with rust. I'm probably not going to open it without a fight. If only I had some source of light. I can't even see my hand waving in front of my face. It feels like the floor will fall out from under me and I'll sink into eternal darkness if I don't watch my step. Fighting back that fear, I slowly walk forward, tracing the walls with my hands. There's a door at the end of a long corridor. I pull it open and a wisp of bone-chilling air brushes past me. It's too dark to see anything, but I can feel something different present in this area than the rest of the house. Uneasiness grips me. Is anybody here? My voice simply disappears into the void. No response. As I'm pushing forward through this freezing air, for a split second, I spot a shimmer of light. Squinting my eyes, I'm able to make out a larger window. Unlike the others, it's not shuttered, but covered up by drapes. My chances are slim, I imagine, but if there's even a slightest possibility of getting sunlight in here, it's worth a shot. So I pull open the drapes. The next moment, faint but colorful light shines down upon me. It's a stained glass window. From beyond the glass, I can hear the subtle pitter-patter of rain. I guess it finally started. The different colors of light blend into a milky white, but dim but wondrous. It's gorgeous. Why would someone cover this up? It's beautiful. With a little more light, it'd be... Please don't touch the drapes. Or the windows. Suddenly I hear a voice. I can sense someone else in the room. The man's voice is emotionless, neither deep nor high. Before long he comes into view, illuminated by the dull orange candlelight. Whoa, that was like a weird thing there. I'm sorry for coming in uninvited, but I did announce myself. The man stands there, practically blending in with the darkness. He's been there the whole time? He's staring straight at me. His gaze wavers slightly, but not enough for me to read anything in it. The candle in his hand and the light from the stained glass window are the only illumination in the room, neither which are particularly bright. As a result, his outline is faint and blurred. It gives off the impression that he might vanish entirely between blinks. My apologies, I assumed the house was abandoned. I suspect you would have preferred it to be abandoned. Not at all. Do you live in this mansion? Yes, I have for a very long time. I thought I had barred the front door, but it seemed I left it open. What brings you here? If you're lost, I'm happy to give you directions. There's a village west of here. It should take you maybe half a day on foot. If you're in need of money, help yourself to some of the furniture. Trade it for food at the village, then make your way to a larger town. Please allow me to stay here. Could you repeat that? I cannot go to the village. No, I cannot go anywhere. I'm no longer able to freely return to any town. I'm being hunted. You seem rather young to be a sinner. So you have transgressed. I'm neither a thief nor an adulterer. If I bear any sin, then it has been with me since birth. I will do everything I can to stay out of your way. I simply ask that you grant me shelter until it all blows over. If you wish to know of my transgressions, I will tell you, so please do not throw me out. I see. And do you ask this of me aware of how people refer to this mansion? Pardon? It is said that a witch once lived in this house. And not just any witch, a cursed witch. This house has been tainted by her seething hatred, and all who dwell within it meet their demise. But you live here, don't you? Like her, I too am cursed. Huh? What kind of curse? The one thing I can tell you is that if your life is in danger, if you get involved with me, should you approach my curse, I'm likely to take your life. You'll kill me? Yes, so you do not belong here. To live with me in this mansion is to sentence yourself to death. No matter what path I choose, I very much doubt I have a future. And if that's the case, then I shall live how I want. I don't care what people say about you or this mansion. I wish to stay here. You might think I'm rather strange, but my heart tells me that I must stay here, that I was guided here. And hearing what you have said only reinforces that. What are you scheming? I'm not scheming anything. I'm simply tired of running. So if your curse is going to kill me, then perhaps that's for the best. At the very least, you won't be hunting me. You won't try to flay me or tear off my arms or rip the flesh off my bones. And that's enough for me. If you've committed no sin, then why do they hunt you so fervently? I'm accused of being a witch. Master? Master, please wake up. Return to me. Oh, have you come to, Master? I apologize for sending you through the door without warning. It must have given you quite the scare, but I beg your forgiveness. I heard a terrible screaming from down the stairs and I panicked. You say you saw the white-haired girl? I see, so you made it into the world beyond the door before me. I'm deeply relieved that I was able to take your hand before losing sight of you. I presume you've already grown familiar with the atmosphere of this time period, Master. If you have seen her, as you said, then you should have the basic grasp of the situation. She was a very misfortunate girl in this era, accused of being a witch, abused and persecuted. Her life was in constant danger. It was, again, her appearance that brought this upon her. That snow-white hair and those ruby-red eyes clearly differentiated her from everyone else. Oh, and I apologize. I neglected to mention that this story is unique. As for what sets it apart, that will be made clear as we proceed, though one difference is in this time period. The tale I have shown you began with that of a beautiful flaxen-haired family, followed by the tale of the bloodthirsty beast, and then the tale of steel and ambition, proceeding in chronological order. However, the door we have just entered takes us to a period now known as the Middle Ages, long before the other three tales. Yes, that is correct. This is where it all began. The mansion's curse, the truth of the witch, and your identity. All of this should be made known. If after this tale you're still unable to reclaim your old self, then there is nothing more I can do. This story contains the last tale I'm able to tell you, so I ask you, please do not let go of my hand till it's over. Now then, let us begin again. Let us begin a beautiful, tragic love story of two solitary souls trapped in a mansion of darkness. In that era, the mansion was a dungeon draped in darkness. After a great deal of time on the run, the white-haired girl found herself a remote mansion that stood in dark, overgrown forest. All the windows were either boarded up or shuttered, and it was even darker inside the house than outside. Not even a ray of moonlight could enter those walls. Only naturally the white-haired girl had assumed that nobody lived there, but her guess was incorrect. Someone did, indeed, dwell in this house. It was a young man named Michael. Is that Michael or Michelle? Though she could not make out the details of his face in the candlelight, she thought him a very handsome man. However, he proclaimed to her that a witch resided within the mansion, and that he too was cursed. Everyone who got close to him lost their lives. Do you think that what he told her was all nonsense? A lie devised to chase her out of the house? The truth of the matter shall come to light in time. Despite I can't read that name without thinking either. Is it Michael or Michelle? Michelle. Michelle. Despite Michelle's assertion, the white-haired girl decided that she would take up residence within the mansion. This era's white-haired girl was younger than the others. She was still in her early teens, young enough to still be seen as a child, but she was neither as self-centered nor irresponsible as you might expect someone of her age. She was very delicate and reserved, and acted with a great deal of modesty and restraint. The accusation of her being a criminal and a sinner were grossly inappropriate. Nevertheless, she was still chased from her home, barely managing to flee to this mansion with her life. Now, the white-haired girl thought it would be rude to simply take up space in the mansion, so she chased down the master, Michael, and asked, is there anything I could do to help? I will clean or cook or do anything, just let me know. I want to repay you for allowing me to stay here. You need not feel indebted to me. The weight of that obligation will only turn into disdain. But I can't just stay here and do nothing. Do whatever you like as long as you do not enter my room. That is all I ask of you. He said emotionlessly, turning away and walking off. Michael was not, I believe, spurning her. He was merely disinterested. He did not treat her disrespectfully, nor did he seem averse to her presence. Words simply did not seem to affect him at all. Not only was the mansion a prison for his body was also a prison ensnaring his heart. I should still do whatever I can. She did not let go that get her down. In fact, she might have even interpreted his disinterest as kindness. Though he was a bit standoffish, he did not attempt to cause her harm. He was nothing like the people who had accused her of being a witch and forced her to flee for her life, and she was deeply grateful for that. Thus began their quiet life together, Michael, who avoided contact with others, and the white-haired girl, who had taken a great deal of abuse from others. Two people who knew hardly anything about one another, who were too distant to really be said to be living together. Michael spent most of his days in his chambers, so they only ever saw each other occasionally, and they hardly ever spoke. Though they stayed in the same house, they both lived solitary lives. Nonetheless, the white-haired girl wanted to get to know Michael better. She wanted to know why he called himself cursed, why he lived alone in this dark mansion, how many days, how many years he had spent in here in solitude. And while she waited for the opportunity, she also started doing things around the house. The first project she set out to take care of was cleaning. As the windows were firmly shut, her only source of light was candles. For whatever reason, there was a great deal of candles stored in the cellar. She wondered where on earth he had acquired so many, but she never found the opportunity to ask him. It was difficult even to see all the dust and cobwebs with only the candlelight. And considering the poor airflow through the house, she was afraid her efforts were going to be in vain. Still, she persisted, sweeping and wiping things down one room at a time. Eventually, she made her way to the library. The dust that had settled there was much heavier than in any other of the rooms. With each breath, she had to fight back coughs. It was not a room one would normally be comfortable spending much time in, but the sight of so many bulky volumes lining the shelves sent her heart aflutter with delight. They're books. Incredible, real books. The white-haired girl had never seen a book before. She had heard people describe them, but that was the first time she had ever seen one in herself. Parchment was a very valuable commodity in that era. It was something monks and scholarly priests made use of, and not a material one could easily acquire without some degree of social rank. Books were not printed with machines, but copied by hand. A single volume took an incredible amount of work to create. Even the process of binding was an art. Standing before the bookshelf, she stared intently at the spines. There's so much dust. Does he not really read any of them? Does he not read any of them? Just a peek, just a tiny little peek, she said, making excuses to empty room. She said, making excuses to the empty room as she reached her hand toward one of the books. The tome that caught her eye was on the upper shelf. It bore gorgeous jade embossing and looked like it belonged in a treasure chest. Almost. Though she tended to act older than her age, the white-haired girl was still in her early teens and not especially tall. Even standing tippy-toed, she was still just barely within reach. At long last, her slender fingers made contact with the spine, and she began to pull the book toward her. And the library had sat abandoned for some time, causing the covers to stick together. So when she attempted to pull one out, several others tilted with it. And then, almost all the books on the shelf came avalanching down onto her. Ow! The white-haired girl groaned, buried underneath a mountain of parchment. She hoped she had not damaged any of her host's valuable collection, for the mess was enough to set her back already in her attempt to express her gratitude. Looking around, she saw one volume that was almost torn in half. She did not know whether it was in that condition before, or if it happened in the fall. But nonetheless, she felt horribly guilty. Sitting there, unable to get back to her feet, tears began welling in her eyes. Then suddenly, a shadow fell over the dejected girl. It took a book in its hand and returned it to the shelf. For a brief moment, the shadow's hand reached hesitantly toward the white-haired girl, then changed course toward another book. It was Michael. There was a hint of perplexity in his otherwise emotionless eyes. Perhaps he heard the noise and came to see what had caused it. I'm so sorry about your books. What were you doing? I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to make a mess. I didn't mean to damage such a precious book. There's no need to panic. I'm sorry. You make it sound as though I'm admonishing you. What? Did you want to read the book? I do, but that's not what I originally came here. I originally came here to clean. Clean? Yes, I felt guilty just simply being idle. I did say you could do as you pleased, but you have no responsibility to clean anything. I just ended up making a bigger mess anyways. You needn't apologize. Oh, okay. If you want to read, help yourself to any of the books. But I don't know how to read. I just thought the cover was pretty, so I wanted to hold it. You're free to use them however you wish. If looking at them is enough for you, by all means. These are all your books, aren't they? They are. That's incredible. You have so many. It must have taken you a long time to acquire them all. One per month. What? My family sends me one every month. Every month? The white-haired girl turned her gaze back toward the shelves, squinting her eyes and beginning to count. When she finished, she was in awe. There were in excess of 100 books on the shelves, which meant he had lived there in solitude for many years. She was at a loss for words. They're dull tomes, dreadfully inoffensive and not even interesting enough to waste a few hours with. Decoration is all they're good for. I see. If you can put them to some use, then perhaps my having them won't be entirely meaningless anymore. I'm going to return to my room. Don't feel obligated to clean up. Just a minute. Was there something else? Could you tell me your name? I just realized I never asked for your name. Not knowing what to call you will make conversation awkward. Oh, whoa, I don't know why that, is skipped audio. Michael says, you don't need to know. I want to, though. Michael. Michael? Like the Archangel? The name suits you quite well. It suits me? It does, although it's difficult to see you in the dark. You seem to be a very handsome man befitting of your name. I beg to differ. Giving me his name is the highest form of mockery. I expect the real Archangel is probably rather annoyed by it. I don't know. I think it's a wonderful name. And you're... No, never mind. Oh, my name? My name is Giselle. Please call me Giselle. Thank goodness. For what? That I was able to get your name and talk to you for a little bit. We haven't seen much of each other since I first arrived, so I'm glad that I got to hear your voice. So very glad. You gain nothing by speaking to me. You have no responsibility to do so, and there's no need for you to feel joy about it. I'm not pleased out of some sense of responsibility or necessity. It's just depressing not being able to have a conversation with someone living in the same house. You do not understand me at all. As I said on the first day, my curse one day will kill you. But I am still alive, aren't I? You are welcome to believe I am lying, or that I am merely out of my mind, but it will be too late when you realize the truth. I'll be fine, I'm sure. And even if I do die because of your curse, I promise I won't hold a grudge. Could you possibly keeping away from me out of concern? No, I simply have no interest in interacting with anyone. I would like to interact with you, if you don't mind, that is. As I told you, you have nothing to gain from that. I have nothing, not even words to give you. My body is but a shell, even if it were not cursed. My presence would do naught but cause you discomfort. I don't think that's true. I don't believe that there's anyone in this world with absolutely nothing. There's plenty inside of you. You simply haven't noticed it yet. And not all of it will only cause other pain, either. If you truly believe those words, then you're a foolhardy girl. How can you trust somebody you only just met? For that matter, how do you not resent everyone? Resent them? Oh wow, that sounded really weird. Resent them? I can take a guess as to why people call you a witch, and why you had to flee all the way to this mansion. Your white hair and red eyes, that abnormally seemingly inhuman appearance drew their condemnation. And I think any of number of reasons they might have started treating you less than human. Perhaps people around you experienced misfortune, or perhaps there was a natural disaster, a famine, a plague, some kind of external phenomenon, and you were their scapegoat. Yes, you are, by and large, correct. Then that would make me as unworthy of your trust as anyone else. I make no claim to having your interest in mind. Goodbye. If you don't mind, could you teach me how to read sometime? Did you listen to anything I said? I listened, yes. I have no intention of idolizing you. I don't expect you to do anything for me. I don't wish to burden you in any way. I simply wish to be allowed to be at your side. It does not matter to me what kind of person you may be. That is all I want. I apologize for keeping you. Please consider it if it's not too much trouble. As the master of the house, Michael, made his way out of the library, he appeared to be slightly rattled. Perhaps the white-haired girl's determination had ignited something in his chained heart. Or perhaps it was something else. She stared down the darkness into which Michael had disappeared down. Then, she carefully wrapped her arms around the jade-embossed tome, a soft smile spreading across her lips. He's a decent man, I'm sure of it. We're alike, he and I. And thus began a blossom within her a faint sense of fellowship, as someone who also knew solitude. Ooh, my voice is starting to go, but I want to give it a little bit more time. I want to get further into this story before I call it quits. This one's very slow. It's very nice and sweet. There's nothing crazy going on like killing people and or like drugs. It's been about a week since the white-haired girl had taken up residence in the mansion. Staying in that house deprived of light was, I imagine, a very claustrophobic experience. To anyone blessed enough to have sunlight as part of their everyday lives, it would have been unbearable. But for her, the mansion, with its prison walls and lack of either illumination or recreation, was the one place she could find respite. She and Michael continued to be distant, however. He spent most of his time in his chambers, which he had explicitly told the white-haired girl to stay out of, leaving her unable to close that gap. Nonetheless, on occasion they did cross paths in the hallways. Their eyes would meet, if but briefly. It was never for more than a few seconds. Whenever she saw him, she made a point of giving him a little smile. He never said anything, but still, when she had first arrived, he would not have even met her gaze. He seemed to be taking more and more notice of her. One day, the white-haired girl stood in the cellar, a frown on her face. Well, this is troubling. I can't go down to the village, but if we don't do something soon. The cellar where their food was stored, an assortment of non-perishables and dried foods, smoked meats and cheeses. Her daily meals were taken from the supplies there. However, the stockpile was beginning to grow quite small. Were she not on the run, she would have gone to the village to procure more. Or perhaps, were she a little tougher, she would have captured a wild animal for its meat. But master, you know a young, delicate thing like her was hardly up for the task of hunting for food. How does he normally get his supplies, I wonder? From there, other questions about Michael started rising in her mind. No matter how lifeless he seemed, surely he still had to eat, right? The white-haired girl nodded, then made her way out of the cellar, intending to head for his bedchamber. But on her way there, she spotted him standing by the entrance. Staring motionless at the door, lit by a single candle, he appeared to be waiting for something. May I ask you a question? Go on. Small young. I was just down in the cellar, and I noticed we were running low on food. Do you normally go down to the village to restock? I haven't been outside in 10 years. Then how do you... What if I told you I don't eat? What? That I'm not of this world, and as such I have no need of sustenance. What would you think of that? That sounds very economical? If you can survive without having to eat, that's one less thing to worry about. If it were possible, I'd like to have that ability too. It would seem trying to frighten you is a waste of time. Was I supposed to be afraid? Never mind. It doesn't matter. You asked about the food in the cellar? It's getting to be about that time. Wait, and you'll find out. What do you... It's here. Oh? If you want to know where my supplies come from, open the door. But I'm in hiding. There's no one at the door anymore. The knock is nothing more than a signal. A signal? The white-haired girl turned toward Michael to press him for more information, but he averted his gaze. Find the answer yourself, he seemed to be saying. She took several moments to gather her will, then marched over to the door. So bright. The sunlight, which had not seemed to be seen in some time, was so bright it seemed to burn her eyes. Although the sun itself had not gotten any brighter, she had simply spent so much time in the dark her eyes were no longer accustomed to that much light. The color of her eyes made them quite sensitive to light already, so when she stepped outside, her whole world went bone white. The white-haired girl stood motionless for 10, perhaps 15 seconds, and when her eyes had finally adjusted to the light, "What's this?" She noticed the crate on the ground at her feet. She turned her head back to ask Michael about the box, but the mansion was so dark it appeared to be wholly severed from the outside world. From where she stood, she was unable to distinguish Michael from the shadows. A pang of nervousness struck her. She wanted to return to the darkness as quickly as possible. The white-haired girl had come to yearn for the world without light more than the one with. The crate was fairly hefty. The slightly built girl had considerable difficulty bringing it into the house, but eventually she did manage to drag it through the front door. And then everything went dark once more, except for the faint flicker of a candlelight floating in the air. You can leave it there. I'll take care of the rest. What's... Without a word, Michael approached her in the box, withdrawing a knife that he had evidently kept hidden somewhere in his person. With it, he cut open the rope that bound the box. Go on, open it up. At his insistence, she placed her hand upon the lid. She had no idea what lay inside this unexpected delivery. Whoever had brought it was already long gone. Staring at the strange box, she was racked with nervousness. However, what she found when she pushed aside the lid was completely ordinary food. Is something amusing? It was just rather anticlimactic. Here I was worried about what it might be inside. We were just talking about the supplies in the cellar. So we were. It completely slipped my mind. This should last us for some time. It's all preserved, just like the ones in the cellar. But I don't understand. Who would deliver all of this to you? There should be a book in there as well. What? Oh, there is. In the library, he said that his family sends him one book every month. Does that mean this book came from them? If so, then why did the person who delivered this without speaking to him? What happened between him and his family? Is he here because they want him here? Or is it because he chose to be here? Take the book to the library, please. I'll bring the rest of the supplies to the cellar. But it's a big box. I'm sure you could use some help carrying it. That won't be necessary. Take the book and go. But fine, stay here. I'll take care of everything. Wait, hold on, please. What is it? You don't have to answer this if you don't want to. And I'm not trying to pry, but I can't help but be curious. Say what do you have to say, please? I was wondering if you could tell me why you live here in this mansion. Why did whoever delivered this box leave before you even opened the door? Could you perhaps be in prison here? I told you this the very first day. I am cursed. It's only natural for a cursed man to live in a cursed home. Yes, but that's such a vague answer. I don't understand why you're in the situation you are, and I don't know how to feel about it. There's so much I don't know. And I'm not even sure if your curse actually exists. I see. That is a perfectly reasonable doubt from your point of view. Having been branded a witch because of your appearance, it would make sense that you would think my curse might be fabricated or perhaps a metaphor for something else. Alright then, come with me. What? I'll show you my curse. As he turned on his heels, the white-haired girl caught a glimpse of what appeared to be a smirk on his face, like the whole thing was some kind of sick joke. That smile carved into his mask was far colder than any look of annoyance or rejection. But despite the twinge of nervousness, she still followed after Michael. As much as he might have stood out in the crowd with such a height and long hair, his presence was almost entirely eroded away by his darkness. She felt that he could simply fade away into nothingness at any moment. Many things are buried here. Huh? Mice, insects, wild cats, and dogs. Have you ever thought how strange at how little life there seemed to be around this mansion? You're right. I haven't seen a single creature since I've arrived. The only sound you can hear is the wind blowing. Now that you mention it, it did seem peculiar. They were all killed by me, or rather, they lost their lives because of me. You have your answer now. A butterfly fluttered its way into the ruined garden, dancing up and down through the air. Michael held out a finger before himself, and the butterfly mistakenly thought it for a branch and drifted down upon it to rest its wings. Had the scene stopped there, it would have been a picturesque moment. All that comes into contact with me loses its life. My skin, the breath I exhale, my flesh and blood, is poison to all life. But the butterfly's movements began to slow. It spread its wing in one last futile attempt to fly away, and then without warning, it shriveled up into a dry husk. It's dead, all dried up and lifeless, like it's been dead for days. It's like his finger drained all the life out of it. Is this his curse? Is that even possible? But I saw it with my own eyes. If this is his curse, though, it explains much. There are more than just insects and animal corpses buried here too. Servants who come to visit me long ago are here beneath the ground, under our very feet. That's why the servants leave before I open the door. Should he touch me, should he get near me, his very life is in danger. No one is interested enough in seeing me to take the risk. No one will have anything to do with me. Nary a soul even wishes to see my face. Now you understand what I meant when I said I will eventually kill you. So that's why you have never touched me. When I knocked the books down in the library, you didn't offer your hand to help me up, and only one of us ever made contact with the box at the entrance at a time. When I offered your help to carry it, you refused, because you didn't want your finger to accidentally brush against mine. My actions were not out of concern for you. I simply dislike people. Others' interests mean nothing to me. What an odd face you're making. Do you believe my curse is real? Do you not believe my curse is real? No, I do. It is certainly irrational, inexplicable, unbelievable, but you've shown me more than enough evidence, and I don't believe you're lying to me right now either. In which case, you now understand how dangerous it is to be near me. You said that if you left, you would be killed, but it's been some time since then. If you're careful to cover your tracks, you could make your escape. You do not belong here. He was telling the truth about being cursed. What a cruel burden to have to bear. I can't imagine just how much he's given up on, how many lives he inadvertently have taken, and how he must have felt every time it happened. How much pain that loneliness must have given him, how much despair he must carry in his heart, how much sorrow must be weighing down on him. So no, I will not leave. I will stay here with you. Leave this place. No, I will not. Why? Why do you insist upon remaining in this house after learning what I can do? You have no reason to stay. Tell me then, why do you try to drive me out? If you don't care for others as you say, if you're not concerned about anyone else, then why does it matter what I do? What does it matter if I die under your curse? You're a very kind-hearted man. You've been watching out for me since the day I've arrived, doing whatever you can not to inadvertently kill me, to not inflict me with your curse. No. Here's what I think. No one capable of showing genuine care for others can honestly, truly dislike all people. They can't possibly be that indifferent. No, that day we met before the stained glass window, you heard me out. You listened to my plight. You didn't try to chase me out. That day I thought you might be a good person, and I still believe that. I simply assumed that you would leave on your own when it was safe. I never thought you would be so foolish, so as want to stay in the house like this, with a man like me. How does that make me foolish? Do you not value your life? Are you not afraid of death? Do you not find me unpleasant? The thing I fear most is loneliness. You're probably right then. By now I could safely sneak away, get myself somewhere far away from here. But even if I did that, I would inevitably find myself in the same situation. The only way I can avoid that fate is to stay away from everyone, to live in solitude with no one to talk to. I know you understand how that feels. It terrifies me. I'm afraid to have to spend day after day with no one to talk to, no one to share my experiences, my thoughts, my feelings with. If that's what awaits for me out there, then I want to live with you. I want to be an essential part of your life. Impossible. Please don't chase me out. You are a cruel girl. Never again will I allow myself to get close to anyone, only to watch them die. Never again. My mother was first to die. It happened shortly after my birth. Next was my wet nurse. 2 deaths could be considered a coincidence, but as the number rose, it became clear that I was cursed, and I was forbidden from making contact with anyone, even at home. Regardless, being in the same house, accidents will happen. Numerous people lost their lives, attendants unfamiliar with me, or those who simply brushed up against me by mistake. I couldn't take it any longer. So you chose to move here, to this remote mansion, so to keep yourself away from your family. You weren't in prison here. You elected to live alone, so you wouldn't hurt anyone. For better or worse, I was born into a noble house, so rather than abandoning me, they provided me the means to live out of sight. I will be very careful. I'll do everything I can do to ensure no accidents occur, to keep you from being alone again. I will not for any reason touch you. You have my promise. Your curse takes the life of anything you touch. I have been here for a while, and death has not befallen me yet, so as long as I do not touch you, there shouldn't be a problem. Also, and I apologize if this is simply me reading too much into things, but I feel like we're two of a kind. I fear being utterly alone more than anything, and I think you understand just how scary that is. So, why are you so stubbornly insisting on it being me? I'm sure there's someone else out there, someone you're meant to be with. You may have not found them yet, but I believe someone like you eventually will. Because unlike me, you still have the vigor to press forward. It has to be you. I'm certain of it. Why? Because well, you can't tell me? No, I can. Please don't get upset with me. I think I might really, really love you. Ooh, that was a good amount of reading. That was nice. Ooh, the story's getting good. I'm so looking forward to it. I love love stories. Romance. Hell yes. Finally. But that's an hour, and I need to give a rest. So I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna save it where we left off. And I thank you very much for listening along and hopefully bearing with me on this one. I don't know when I'm going to give it another go because I'm tired all the time. But thank you very much and have a wonderful day.